Welcome back to another episode of Traveliving. I'm your host, Polo Lam. And today we're flipping the coin a little bit. Instead of interviewing people who have already traveled and lived abroad, I've invited two of my very good friends who have not done it yet. And we're just going to go through and have a overall discussions about what's holding them back maybe. And why haven't they done it yet? So let me introduce you to Folu and Felix. So Folu, why don't you start by telling us a little bit more about yourself?
So I'm producing a consultant. So I was working at a consultancy firm. I did engineering and university. I don't know if that has any relation to what we're talking about here.
No, yeah, of course, everything.
But yeah, so at the moment, I'm a freelance now, so I'm in between jobs. I'm considering actually traveling now. Like one of my options right now is traveling abroad to work abroad. So maybe this conversation will help me.
Maybe
crystallize my.
Okay. But where are you from? Where are you from? Tell us a little bit more. Like
I'm from Nigeria, from Ogun State, Nigeria. 25 years old. I'm a young boy.
We're getting old, bro.
Yeah. I'm a young boy.
We can't even say we're really young anymore.
Yeah.
Great. What about Felix?
So I'm Felix. I'm also Nigerian. Thank you so much, Polo, for having us on your podcast. What do I do? I'm just a young black man trying to leave an impact in this world. You know, I'm a co-founder of Ideas Lab, which is a global inclusive community for student founders. I'm also the founder of Kahana, which is a travel app that makes it really easy for you and your friends to collectively save and pay for your holidays together. And I'm looking to get out there, explore the world, travel and live. Mm-hmm. I'm here to share my story and talk about why I haven't made the jump yet.
So, yeah, let's do it. No, you guys are welcome. Thanks for being here. So let's start with the biggest question. So where are you guys now? Where are you guys right now, physically?
Go, bro.
I'm in Nigeria. I'm in Lagos right now.
Cool.
I'm in Lagos. I'm
And Felix?
And I'm based in London at the moment, Southeast London.
Okay, so let's start with maybe the biggest one that I think would hold most people back is probably the language. So do you think that's one of the biggest challenges for you guys?
Who do you want to go first?
Who want to go first? Yeah.
Felix, you can go, bro. Felix, go ahead.
Okay. I'd say language is definitely a factor. I think within Europe, it's a little bit more approachable because I think most people who grew up in the UK have some exposure to some sort of European language, whether it's like French or Spanish, something like that. So it's a little bit more approachable. But if you're like, for example, trying to move to like the Middle East or somewhere else, maybe like in Asia, Far East or somewhere, and the language barrier is a bit higher, it's definitely more of a barrier for someone like me to move out there. If there's not a lot of English speakers and stuff like that. I think language is definitely a barrier because I've definitely been in positions where I was thinking about moving somewhere and then someone told me, yeah, you're going to have to learn the language before you go there. And I'm like, oh, no, like I want to go there and learn the language while I'm there, you know? So it kind of like put me off a little bit from making the move as kind of impulsively as I originally wanted to because of the language barrier. So yeah.
What about you, Folu?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think language has been a consideration, like when thinking about going abroad. But I think as well, it's one of those, I'm not sure if it's a major factor for me, at least. Like, it's not, because I think language is definitely something that I feel is it's a scalable obstacle that you can, over time, you'd learn. Like, other
100%.
things, other things would make me, I would consider before, like, considering, I can't speak the language. So I'm not sure to say if that's been a barrier for me in terms of moving abroad or working abroad. But it's definitely like something I've considered because especially like when I was with you guys in England or living in Europe at least, like if I did have another European language that I could speak, I probably would have explored like applying for jobs in other countries or opportunities in other countries more. It would have been on top of my mind more, but I think, yeah, so in that sense, it probably does affect like the initial step, but in terms of when an opportunity comes across, I don't think I think about languages, so yeah, but it's definitely something I know a lot of people think about though, but how much it is of a...
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you guys think language is a potential barrier for you guys for living abroad? Starting with Folu.
Probably like 4 out of 10, 4? I think.
What about you, Felix?
Yeah, I think I'd say the same, like 3 or 4. It's not so much of a barrier because I think for me personally, language is one of the reasons why I'd want to move somewhere. It's not so much of a cause for concern. It's just I keep that in mind that it's going to make adapting a little bit trickier and not as smooth as if I spoke the language of the country already. But it's one of the things that excites me about moving to a new country, the fact that I can be exposed to a different language from my own. So yeah, I'd say it's a 3 even.
Yeah, because like I know I've met a lot of people who doesn't speak the language in Spain. So like I'm in Madrid, and I've met people who came without knowing anything and still don't know anything, and they're still fine. You know, like somehow they got through 3 years of I mean, obviously it's not the best way to live in a foreign country without knowing the language, but you know, as we have identified that language is probably not the biggest thing. It could be for a lot of people though. Like I know that. So
yeah, I can see that being.
Yeah, I would advise people not to even think about it that much. I would obviously try and study it before. Like it helps a lot. So studying, you know, even to a basic level. So in the European language level, there's A1, A2, all the way up to C2, which is the native level. I would say you should get up to A2 level standard. You know the basic vocabulary just to get around the place before you come. But if you don't think you have the time for that, then make the jump. Like go for it, because loads of people have done it.
But Polo, for you though, because I know you before you moved to. When did you start learning Spanish?
I learned when I was 14.
Been to Spain a couple of times. Like, okay.
I started learning at GCSE level, innit? So I had 3 years. What, 3 years? No, I had 3 or 2 years. 2 years of training. You know, so I had that A1, A2 level. I was pretty good at it as well. So I had a very good basic level of Spanish. You know, so yeah, I'm not gonna lie to the audience. Like, I studied 10 years of French, and I was shit at it. I wasn't shit at it, but compared to
and 2 years of Spanish, and you were perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah?
So, I mean, that goes to the next point. It could be an interest. I mean, the fact that all of you have learned French in your school days.
That's true.
So we were in the same classes. Not with Felix, but with Folu, I was definitely in the same. You know, we were given that
French when in one ear, I had the other ear, bro. That French is taking my mind.
So schools don't teach languages very well anyway. So
honestly, that's another thing as well. I think that's something like we can also speak about, is that I think generally in a lot of schools, even in England, like the English schools, I'm not sure you get as much. At least the school we went to, you get a lot of exposure to like different parts of Europe through people that come, like Europeans that are in your school. But in terms of languages, like teaching of languages, I'm not sure if I was only there for 2 years anyways, but I didn't really get as much. The teaching didn't make me particularly like interested in the language or like look more into the culture or whatever. So so I think maybe teaching does have like an aspect to it as learning.
Yeah. 100%. And I think piggybacking on that as well, I was talking about this recently, 2 days ago, something like that. Polo, you remember when we went to, we did Interrail the first time we went to Munich. We went to Louisa's school.
Yeah.
I remember we're in the English class, and the level of English in that class was like outstanding. Like they weren't teaching grammar. That they were reading like, was it the Economist or something? They were reading like a business document.
I can't remember.
And I remember like comparing it to one of the language classes I had gone in our school, and they were still like teaching like not basic grammar but like grammar rules.
Yeah,
and like the difference was so like crazy to me. Like these guys, English is like their third or fourth language, and like they're speaking it like nothing.
Yeah.
But in the UK, like we're spending so much more time on the basic foundational aspects of the language, you know? Like, yeah, the difference, we don't teach languages very well in the UK. In Nigeria, we definitely don't teach languages very well. That one I know for a fact. Yeah, it's crazy.
I definitely agree on that. Like, as much as, you know, we need that pull factor, which is the interest, you know, to learn a language and then to be able to live somewhere else. We obviously need that push from the schools, you know, the society and school. And obviously the UK is not particularly good as a society itself, you know, of promoting other languages.
We're getting political here.
Yeah, no, but it's true. But it's true. I mean, they're not the worst.
Shots, man.
They're not the worst.
Get canceled on social media.
No. They're not the worst. Bro. Spain is probably worse, or equivalently bad. But yeah, if we're comparing ourselves to like Germany or like the Nordics. The Nordics, yeah, the Nordic countries, or even the Eastern Europeans. You know, like it's crazy. I mean, I haven't been able to interview anyone yet, but I might actually get to that. Of why the Eastern Europeans just tend to be able to speak several languages. And we're not just speaking about English, yeah? Like I met in Madrid, I remember like in my Erasmus days, I met Bulgarians, particularly Bulgarians, who were speaking like 4 languages, like that.
Just casual, yeah.
Exactly. And people don't even think like about the Eastern European countries. They don't even consider them as, you know, as the high level as the UK or whatever, or Germany. But these guys were speaking French and Spanish fluently, and English and their own language.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it has to be a lot to do with education, or maybe 100%. A lot to do with interest in society as well.
Yeah.
Education is key as well, though. I think, like, because especially like we think about it now, just in general, like our mindsets are quite global. In a lot of countries, like a lot of the youth have very global mindsets. And I think one thing that education can do to like encourage like globalization and just the like interaction of people everywhere is like better education in languages, like at least the major languages. So it encourages that movement and stuff.
But then like, you know, like I'm going to throw this back at you guys. Like, I mean, we didn't, obviously you guys were 2 years each at the school, but we were basically at the same place. So what's the difference between me learning at that classroom and you guys learning at that classroom? I mean, Felix you didn't take any languages courses, did you?
I tried.
Did you?
I did. I tried. I tried to get into French classes, but Mr. Doyle, God rest his soul, he kind of talked me out of it. So
I don't know why he did that. But...
Yeah, because he was like, with your A levels, like it's gonna be too much of a jump. Like it's gonna be too much work for you. Like it's just don't even like learn it at your own time. You don't need to learn it in school, type of thing. I was like, I guess, like I trust.
In Nigeria, did you do any though? Like,
yeah, I did French. I did for 1 year. I did Igbo and Yoruba, and I also did Hausa for a year. And till today, I've never gotten a grade so low in my life that when I did the Igbo exam.
So you might even struggle going back to Nigeria.
I got like 3%. Like it was disgusting.
3%.
It was
That's
bad.
nasty, bro. That's not great.
This podcast better not be.
But you're a CEO now, bro.
By
It's all good.
I mean, Carl, we speak small Igbo now, so it's fine. You get me?
Nigeria is like teaching languages in Nigeria it's even worse than the UK, like so much worse.
Horrible.
No, but
I'm sure you can imagine.
Do you not think it's down to interest though? Because of course 90% of the people did not get out of it who like haven't learned something, but there are still a small minority, which I remember because they separated the classes. So I was in the only class with like 6 people in it who were actually interested to do 2 languages. So do you not think that fundamentally is down to the interest? I mean, obviously the education system, the society has a huge part that influences you, but do you not think if deep down your interest is like, I know this is going to help me and it's going to broaden my horizon like by 1000%?
Yeah, but
would you agree, Felix? Sorry, man. What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I think it's both. Like interest can be generated out of education. Like, yeah, you could be interested in it, but like education can show you which parts of it can be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So like going back to the English class in Germany, how they were talking business. It's like a lot of us learn, because I found languages, I had the same issue with like maths, for example. A lot of it was there was no context to what I was learning. It was just learn it and that's it. But if you're teaching me mixed in with something that I know I kind of enjoy, like business, like if you're talking about like how to do business in France, for example, then all of a sudden like it starts to make a lot more sense. Because it's still the basic stuff you're learning, but like you have more context to it that you might actually find interesting for you, you know?
But then we were at a class that they were 17-year-olds, Germans who had very high level of English, who were doing this type of, contextual classes. I mean, I've never, even for myself, I've never been to like A level or IB level Spanish, French classes. So maybe they do actually do that at that level when you actually have that level.
Yeah, I mean, I went to one and they weren't doing that, but I can't obviously speak for the rest of it. But I think like, just like how Mr. Doe would make parts of history so interesting that we'd want to go and read wider about it. Can do the same thing for languages, but I feel like a lot of teachers, I mean, in Nigeria specifically, like a lot of teachers like they don't take that extra step because they don't really enjoy teaching it that much. Like they just want to teach you the basics and then teach you enough for you to pass the exam, and that's about it. But they don't make it interesting.
Actually, hitting on that point, like I actually suggested to a lot of people when we talk about language in school, it's basically like we shouldn't grade languages at all. Like, especially when you're younger, like I actually feel like it's better to just do, as you say, like make it fun and make it like so children actually want to turn up in the first place. Obviously, you will have to teach them something, but without grading them as such, like I feel like that's probably a better way of learning the languages.
I agree.
And I think that's what they do in Scandinavia. They don't have exams in general, not just languages, but like they don't do exams. They just talk in English and they try and make it as fun as possible.
Yeah, if you make it like a normal habitual thing, then it's fine.
Okay, so you don't
cultural then.
Okay, so going back to us, like so
wait, before you go, I think Folu had a point that he wanted to make as well, I think.
And I was just gonna add on to what Polo was saying about not grading languages at secondary school level or even younger. It's because it's more cultural. You're teaching that more for cultural integration than you are for grades. I mean, you should be encouraging more of the I think there's a way it could work better that way if it wasn't being.
And if most people get shit grades anyway, what's the point?
Exactly.
like now thinking back, I'm like, if half of the people got C's and D's and E's, you don't use that to represent your school, do you? So what's the point? I mean, and those levels don't even match up to, like, you know, when you do an actual test. So like, for example, a person from Spain needs to do a Cambridge English test, you know, to be certified. So you doing a GCSE exam doesn't certify you in any way that you have X amount of level in French or Spanish. So what is the point in grading them? I don't actually get it.
Yeah.
Oh, we just got a gift from Zoom. They gave us more minute. This
Unlimited.
So I thought that was you that bought, like, you got the.
No, it's just random. Maybe somebody from Zoom is listening to our conversation and think,
they love it.
Interesting.
Maybe. Give me some shares. That's why I want shares in Zoom. That's what I want. Give me the shares.
Those Microsoft shares, bro.
Maybe Zoom needs you guys to, like, move out and work somewhere else.
Who's actually the parent company of Zoom? Is it just Zoom?
Idea.
It's just Zoom.
It's just Zoom, yeah.
Yeah.
Where is it?
I need those Zoom shares, bro.
Where is Zoom?
Zoom shares.
Zoom is in the States.
Is in the States. No, I'm not moving out to the States, man.
But they have a lot of remote working anyway, so.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So yeah, that's why we have to hit this topic up, because the opportunities are opening up for everyone to move out. So me and Felix and you, Folu, we've discussed this so many times, like, remote work is the normal thing now. Like, you guys actually have the chance to take your job somewhere else. You know, the same job, but like I was gonna hit on the point of, you know, I used maybe like jobs, not being able to get a job can be a holdback, but the fact that you don't even need to get a job anymore in that country, because you can actually work for your own English company or Nigerian company wherever you go. So that's not even a thing. I mean, obviously it's not for everyone, but you know, that I can't. That's why I want to ask you guys back. Why have you guys not done it yet?
So what were you referring to that point? Were you referring to, like, keeping your Nigerian job or English job and then moving to another country?
So we ruled out that the system is at fault. The education system is at fault for not giving you a certain level of language to maybe push you guys harder to go to another country. And now the job, you know, with that's not even a thing anymore. Like, you can get a job anywhere, a remote job. So that's not a thing. So what's the next thing that's holding you guys back, or you think might be holding you guys back?
I think for me, nothing. Like, I plan on my next, because I'm in fully situation as well. Like, I'm in between jobs. So I'm making it a mandate, excuse me, that my next job is going to be fully remote. And as soon as I get it, and as soon as I know that I'm making enough salary, you know, to survive somewhere else outside the UK, like, I'm out. So what's that
salary? What's that salary? Because like this is on record, by the way. You just made a mandate.
Magic number.
What's the magic number and the magic date?
Dates-wise, I can't speak too much on that, but salary-wise, minimum for me to survive, like, say, in like a France or like a Spain or Portugal, you know, somewhere in like Western Europe, or even Germany, €1,000 a month at minimum.
Okay. What do you think, Polo?
Well, I mean, I think for me as well, like, there's a financial aspect to it for sure, because I think you wanna, because one of the things, like, I've been seeing a lot of, during this like COVID periods, a lot of people have been moving back to Nigeria, for example, that have jobs in England or America or wherever, but because their jobs are now remote, they're able to just move back to Nigeria and do those jobs from Nigeria. Yeah. And I mean, when you look at that situation, whichever way you look at it, like, you're going to be comfortable in Nigeria because you're earning foreign currency in a country where
same time zone
that foreign currency is worth a lot. So I think it also just depends. So from Nigeria, I don't know if I can actually do it, like, have a Nigerian job and live outside of outside of a third world
it's
country.
all relative, right? It's all relative.
I don't know if my money would translate to Europe or like a Western world. So it has to be the other way around, where I'm like earning good money from maybe from an international company. Maybe I got the job in Nigeria, but it's an international company.
Yeah.
And I'm working. So something, as long as I can live comfortably in a foreign country, I'll be fine. So I think the financial aspect is very important.
But as we were like saying, like it's all relative. Like so, like Felix have pinned down to like Spain, France, Germany, Western country, and 1,000 euros is like the basic for anybody, and that's easily achievable. So for where would you go? Like that's a better question, no? Where would you go?
Where would I go? That's a tough question, bro, because the world is big, man. There's a lot of places I would love to go to. I think one of the places, I think right now I'm still like most interest to me is probably somewhere that I can speak the language, I would say. I don't think as well, I think about opportunity. If I did get the opportunity in a country where I didn't speak the language, I'll consider it. But in terms of actively searching for opportunities, I'm thinking of only countries that I can speak the language, just for the ease of.
Okay, if you had to pick one now and set.
America, bro.
America.
Yeah, America. That's where I'm going to go save Capitol Hill, bro.
America. The land of Trump?
The land of Trump, bro.
No longer.
Nah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what.
And what what are the steps you need
towards
to achieve that? Yeah.
So one thing I've realized is recently is that there are very, very different steps to doing all these things. Like people, so when we're talking about relocating, I guess this is a travel living. You were talking about working, so maybe not education, because a lot of education is the route a lot of people take towards moving abroad, and
which is a big step too. That's a big step.
Yeah, and for me right now, that's not the position I'm in. I'm not trying to get into education anymore. I'm not looking into that. So it has to be more job opportunity. So if you're able to get, I think it's a very tricky one, because you can't really say, oh, you have to do this, and this to move. It can just be as easy as moving and figuring out when you get there. It can be as easy as that.
Not really, because America doesn't give you that chance, right? Like.
But then it depends, though. It depends, because if you're a British citizen, you have access to actually being in the country for longer than other people, in terms of you're not applying for a visa or whatever.
100%.
You can just all you're doing is applying for an ESTA online, and you can exist in that country for 3 months. So it does give you an opportunity to at least be there for an extended period of time, figure out things, and then maybe you would have to come back if you don't get a visa. Or at least you can like come in and out of America as a British citizen for a while, and that's helpful. So that's actually that's what I'm looking to do.
So you should basically buy the next plane ticket. That's what you're saying?
Basically. Basically, I should basically.
This whole point of the podcast is just rooting you guys. Like
this Polo shop.
But it's true though. Like if we boil, like, because obviously, like how from my point of view, like listening, like we're not just talking about this podcast. We're talking about like years of talking to you guys, and all I feel is that there are lots of ifs. And
here we go.
Many,
I was basically supposed to do this.
Many like. We need a job, we need a salary.
It's coming for us, yeah.
It's coming for us, but it's true. Like, honestly, like it's true. Like I knew as soon as Polo said, we're gonna talk about this topic on this podcast. Like I knew it was gonna get to the point where we have to be honest with ourselves, and there has been a lot of ifs. When I do this, when I get like there's been lots of that. I have to be honest, like it's true. Like I hold my hands up and say I've been waiting for when I feel comfortable enough to then make a jump like that. But one thing 2020, especially the end of 2020, has taught me is like you just have to kind of just make the jump. Like you kind of just have to do it. And I knew that there's been, especially like in this period that I am in my life right now, it's quite rare that And I think fully you're probably in the same space. It's quite rare that we can make decisions about our lives that are this big and actually have enough time to really like make it happen.
Yeah.
Like we're comfortable enough that we can actually make that jump.
And even fail. And
nothing will happen. Like we'll just go back home. Like last, we'll go back to mom and daddy's house.
That's been my motto for many years. Whatever happens, I can just go back home. Like what's the worst thing that can happen? That's the privilege.
Yeah, that's the privilege that we have to exercise.
Exactly.
And now like Polo is making like really good points. Like everything has gone remote. You can get jobs from anywhere. Like there's nothing really holding you back. And I've had these conversations with my friends like over the past couple of days. Like we're in a rare time frame in our lives where we can actually do this and go. And if we don't do it anytime soon, then it might get a little bit trickier.
It already has. It already has. I actually jot down the point of Brexit. So like you talk about going to Spain, France, Germany, or even an English-speaking European country. That's not possible anymore. Like it is possible. You still have that 90-day like margin to do it. And you can even do it for 90 days and just go back home.
Yeah, but you need a visa to actually work there now, don't you?
No, you need to work. No, well, I don't know if you actually need a visa as such, but you need to have a job. Where like a Spanish job, or you need enough like £2,000 income from whatever company remotely who's going into your Spanish bank account. So the more time we are talking about this, the harder is the government or the society is making it harder for us to do this in Europe. So it's about seizing the opportunity. I mean, even though this is happening, I'm seeing so many people still doing it. Like they're still going like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going. Like, since there's Brexit, we might as well do it now. Like, but obviously that window of opportunity has gone now. So the next step is how do you like overcome that challenge?
Well, one thing
it's a big challenge,
What actually like point what you were saying before, Polo, about interest. I think interest is a big part of it too, because it's much like what Felix was saying before. This is a point where now everyone is contemplating, okay, I can work remotely. I'm working remotely now anyway, so I can actually go anywhere. But then again, this is also a period where we're then faced with actually deciding how interested am I in moving? Like because where you're moving to makes a big difference. Like where you're moving, if there's a fixation, so if you're moving back home, for example, people that are coming back to Nigeria, like Nigeria is home for them, but they had to work abroad before. Yeah. But now that they can work, they can come back home and keep their job abroad. That works fine. But then, so when you think about living abroad, you have to think about, okay, what kind of residency or like how can I exist in that space? How much? What we're just talking about, like Brexit, the impact of Brexit on British citizens moving to European countries. I don't know what that is, but then people that do have interest in that are going to have to look into what are the steps and what do I need to get sorted before I move. So interest does have a big role to play in that, in how much information you're going to go find out about what you're doing, or maybe laziness. I don't know, maybe I'm being too kind saying interest, maybe it's laziness. But then I think as well, you do have the different reasons, things to, if you're moving back home, you don't have to consider much because you're just moving back home to your home country. But if you're going to another country where you have no ties or you're going to have to think about a lot more. So that actually makes it harder for some people because
of course
there are more obstacles for you to crossing that. So I think those are the kind of things that actually affect people when you're thinking about moving abroad.
100%.
For some people, it's easy. Like you can just make the switch. For some people, they cut the I don't know what the immigration rules or whatever makes it harder for them to make that move. So those are the kind of things that I think we have to think about when we make this have discussions about living abroad. You knowing the country or the area in which
it's definitely an obstacle.
It's very, very important.
Yeah,
it's definitely an obstacle.
It's nice to make it sound like it's straightforward, but we all know it's not that straightforward. Polo can tell us firsthand, it's not that easy to just get up and go. So as much as remote working has made it easier, more accessible for that type of thing, people who want to do it, like, you know, me and Folu have to do like a lot of research to make sure that we're actually targeting the right place that makes sense for us, because as people of color as well, you know, you have to keep that in mind. Like, we can't ignore the fact that
another point, racism. I've got it on the notebook.
Yeah,
racism.
Okay. Let's go into that.
Talking about racism.
So,
because we narrowed down to some. Well, you follow America, you Western Europe. Now, so is racism like not even mentioning? Let's start with like Western European racism. Like, how is that one point that unconsciously or even consciously could be holding you back from moving?
Not moving in itself, but moving to specific places, most definitely. 100%. Most definitely.
For example?
I think, you want to take a political? I mean, I personally don't believe that there's a single place in this earth that Black people will not see racism or like experience racism. I don't think, even in our own country.
Okay.
You know, so I think 90% of places on earth, like, it's going to be racist. But we all know there's certain places, obviously this might go into the areas of more like stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's certain places where stereotypically it's known that they're not that friendly towards people of color. Maybe like places like in like Eastern Europe, where it's been known for these kind of things to happen. Maybe places like Russia, or maybe even in some places in the States as well. Like you're probably not going to go to certain places because you know that they're not that friendly towards us.
So which places are not? Or which places are for you? The targeted places that you're thinking about going. Which are the places that you think you might encounter such a thing? Because obviously, we talk about the world. There's always some place that is not good for you. For you personally,
I've heard. For me personally, like out of the places I'm really looking at, Spain is probably the most racist one.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really heard any big issues about black racism in places like Dubai, for example. I haven't really heard anything happening in Lisbon.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Spain is definitely like the most racist one by far.
But then, okay, so going on to that point, so you've heard that it is like that. Yet I have a lot of people here that are Black and they're like chilling. So, see again, it's difficult like that because like you go there, like I've been to Spain like a few times and I've never experienced any racism. Exactly.
But I've also heard like that in certain places and sometimes like it can be quite rough, you know, for people of color. So it's like, do you then let...
But this goes back to what you're saying, Felix, about like, racism is not going to be the reason you don't go to Spain. Though. You would actually go, you consider moving to Spain. Racism wouldn't stop you from it, but it's something that at the back of your mind, you're thinking, this is something I'm more likely to approach in this country. So I need to be aware of that. When I make my decision, I need to be aware of this fact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think the most important thing is having an open mind to being almost saying like you how you could be attacked, but also the fact that it just depends on how you take it. Because I've definitely experienced like racism, like some things that are considered normal here is like so not normal back home. Yeah, like at where you're living, and so like obviously if it's aggressive, you have to fight back in some ways. But sometimes it's like you kind of just go, is that really racist, or we just being like overly like that's not cool, and then I don't know. It's a very sensitive issue. Obviously, it depends on what level. For example, like people will pull stupid Chinese eyes on me. That's fucking racist. And you do that in even England, you probably get beaten up by a Chinese guy.
Yeah.
But like here, it's like they have a freaking word for it. It's that bad. They actually have a word, an adjective of, oh, you look Chinese kind of thing. Like they could be saying that to a fellow Spaniard. Like,
what's the word for that? What's the word?
Achinado. So like saying, you know, you have the Chinese eyes basically. On face level, is that really racist? Like, like I don't know, after a while, you just think about it deeper than just face value. Like, oh yeah, society tells us that that is racist. But, you know, is that really racist? Like, it does sound
I mean, it depends on how, if you don't find it, right? I mean, because that's the thing, especially about race, I found that I see that a lot about race. Everyone has, even within your community, everyone has a different, not definition, but kind of framework of what racism, what they count as racist or not racist. Like, you may not find being referred to as Chinese, looking Chinese or Chinese-eyed as racist. But for someone else, like, that could be a whole, like, could ruin their whole experience, hearing that or like being told about that. So 100%. I think that's, and it's a very, it's not, I don't think it's very black and white in that sense. And countries need to be very aware of that. Because when we look, we see that all the time, like certain cultures, there's no awareness. When we talk about language, like even just the awareness of different cultures, how things operate. And now it makes the move easier if you have a better like education or
100%.
kind of awareness of how different cultures are, it would make the move easier. And like your relation to those like cultures would be different. That's not right now.
So knowing this information, like, would you think, like, even racism, if it's not aggressive, is not even a thing to consider anymore for you guys? Like, when you do choose another country to live in, knowing that now it's more of a mental thing and even a cultural, you know, it depends how you take it. Do you take it on the chin, or you like really who's there for?
I mean, it's a tricky
I don't
one.
take that on the chin, man.
Okay. Yeah, like I will never take racism on the chin. Like it's not one of those, like, because I personally feel like especially if it's like someone that you kind of are going to spend time with, like, you know, you move to a new country and, you know, you make new friends and, you know, you have to set barriers at some point, like set boundaries.
Oh no, 100%.
You know, so it's like, I will never take racism on the chin. Like, it's just not, I'm not that kind of person. You know, I used to sometimes, depending on what it is, but not
exactly.
anymore.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Depends on what it is. Like, I'm not, obviously there are some things that you actually have to like call the guy out or the woman or whoever. But I'm saying, like, on the level of, you know, living somewhere else.
Interesting, like that, I think racism, everything should be called out. I think at every level, you should at least be made aware of it. You shouldn't, because at different like stages, because if a kid did something, for example, in secondary school, you're not going to, like, he says something about Chinese eyes, you're not going to be like, oh, that's not, you're going to call it, at least make him aware of the fact that, okay, this, it may not be the biggest deal in the world, but that you need to be aware that that could be seen as racist by some people and understand the like cultural tone of what you just said. So not everything I'm going to be angry about. Sometimes it's just a small conversation, like, or 100%. Like think about, like, be aware of this. I think we need to be, our standards generally, like our approach to racism needs to be very detailed in that sense.
Would you not think if more people traveled, like even you guys, you'll be able to educate more people, like, on that level? The fact that you can actually go there and make them see you for who you are, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Like, traveling definitely challenges your stereotypes and challenges your notions on people in general. Like, you go to a new place and you thought someone had told you that the people are like this and they're actually like this. But you can only really experience that if you travel and actually meet them in real life. Like, people always told me, like, oh, Russians are like this type of people. And you go to Russia and, like, every Russian you meet is like, is so friendly and so warm and, you know, different things. So I feel like only travel can really give you that proper life-changing experience of people, you know? So yeah, like,
So when are you doing it, Felix? What date are you setting yourself?
Going to Russia?
Going to travel and live abroad.
I would tentatively set April or May this year.
Can I answer the question? Because Felix, when you say when you want to, so your reason for traveling abroad or like moving abroad, is that just for comfortability reasons, or is it work reasons, or is there any particular reason why you want to move? Is there anything that what exactly attracts you
to living abroad? It's a whole bunch of reasons, but I think the number one reason, and it's always kind of been the main reason, is just exposure. Like, I want to be exposed to more cultures than the ones I am comfortable with. Like Nigerian culture, English culture, like I know inside out. But the world is so much bigger than Nigeria and the UK. And I want to be able to experience more. I want to meet more people. I want to challenge myself as well. I want to be exposed to more languages. So I think cultural exposure and languages and getting out of my comfort zone are my three top reasons for wanting to move abroad. So it doesn't really have anything to do with work. Work is just something that gives me money that I can then live while I'm there.
I think work is more like a consequential thing. Like if you're more exposed and you're more adaptable and you have more languages, you definitely have more chance of progressing in your career, 100%.
If I had like some sort of benefactor or someone that's sliding £2,000 or £3,000 every month from my accounts, like I will not get a job. I will move out there.
I like the new slang for sugar mommy. Benefactor.
I mean, you said it, not me, my G. I didn't use that word.
So what about Folu? Like for you, like the same question, but for yourself.
I think something similar in terms of it's like the challenge, the reasons why I want to move abroad is similar to Felix's reasons why I'm referring to more about like being outside my comfort zone and just adjusting to the world. Because like Felix said, I just link it to what we were saying before, is the privilege of exposure. I think in some ways that we've also realized, like then throughout the exposure we've had, limited or not limited, we've seen that there's so many more ways to live, and my mind can be open in so many more different ways, and these are the things that living abroad will bring to me. And that's what makes it really attractive, is that we see self-growth in moving abroad. We see ourselves expanding in some sort of way by moving abroad. So I think that's really what attracts me to living abroad, is that personal challenge of knowing that, I've adapted to a new place. And that's like, now there are like three places I know I'm comfortable in. Then I can go to another place. Because I would actually love the challenge of like moving to a few different places, like at least across the world, like have 100%. A few different experiences. That's what I would love to have, ideally, is to have an extended period of time in certain cultures and stuff. So
that's what Traveliving is all about.
That's what attracts me to
Traveliving, man. That's why, I like to do this podcast. Like, it's not about actually, you go to another country and you have to stay there forever. You can actually go there a few years, 1 year, half a year, move on to the next one until you find the one you like, or if you don't like any of them, you go back home. But the point is that journey will change your life. Like, I've not heard from anybody that has told me that it hasn't changed their life. You literally are exposing yourself like so vulnerably, because you won't know what's coming. Like, you don't know what the people are like. You don't know, how the system is, little things you don't know, the language. You're so exposed, and that's when your body starts to adapt the quickest.
Yeah. I agree. Like even seeing you as well, like seeing like your growth has definitely been an inspiring thing for me, because like I'm sure Folu also agree, like you called what you wanted to do and you did it. Like I remember very clearly when we were in sixth form, like you said, look, I'm gonna live in Spain one day, and you moved to Spain. I'm gonna speak Spanish one day. You speak Spanish. And I remember you clearly said, I'm gonna have a Spanish girlfriend one day. Executed to perfection.
Yo, like that's it, man. I'm trying to inspire you.
I'm gonna work on. I'm gonna create my own business.
Down to the color of the eyes, Down to the color of the eyes. What?
Bro, down to the color of even the hair color as well.
Okay. But blonde, yeah, she's blonde.
She's blonde.
Yeah,
blonde
bro, the guys. and then you're not coming to that God doesn't exist. Look at this guy.
But that's the thing. Like, I feel like if you don't set yourself that challenge, you're never gonna do it. Like, not just inspiring you guys, but anybody who's listening to this. It's literally that simple. You set yourself a freaking target, and you will work your way to it. But if you just say, "Yeah, might do it one day," then if you say you might,
one thing I'd also like to say as well is that, like, the single-mindedness of, like, find what we were saying before about finding the country. I think once you kind of know where your next place is, it becomes easier. I think
100%.
It's harder before you. Because a lot of the time you're aware of the fact that, I would love to move abroad and like live wherever, but you've not really like decided, okay, this is where I'm gonna be for this amount of time. So I think when like having that clarity of where exactly it is you want to make that your next move to, helps a lot. So you can take your time to find that one place, but then once you kind of know that one place, then you have to start setting a target date or whatever as to look.
And the first question a person should ask themselves is, where do they want to go?
Yeah.
Number one, and then start Google searching for it and like all the little details. But then you can another thing is, some people do plan too much though. Like they start researching and they're never actually doing it because they start finding out all the shit things about that country, and they're like, oh, that's putting me off. Because I could have done the same thing about business.
It's confirmation bias. Like they don't really want to go. They're not ready to go, so they're actively trying to find things that's going to discourage them from.
That's true as well.
From going there.
It's true that if you're not ready, you probably
shouldn't.
Shouldn't do it. But then at the same time, you're never really ready, are you? Like.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, I also just remembered one very huge factor for me that's held me back a little bit. That I forgot to mention. Friends, like.
Oh shit! That was another thing on my notebook. Friends and family.
Okay. I'm out here like leading the podcast. Crazy. I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. No, I was just like surprised. Like I actually written this down and you're mentioning it.
Yeah, like I know for me personally, the biggest reason why I have Madrid on my list is Loki's because you're in Madrid. Let me never lie to you.
No, but that's the point. Like you shouldn't really pick a country where you really don't know anybody and have nothing. I mean, you could do it, but that's for the like really brave people.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm brave enough.
Yet, but
neither am I. Like I don't think I'm brave enough to move to a country where like I know not a single person. Like if we all said, okay, you know what? Like in April, we're all moving to Qatar, like all three of us moving to Qatar. I'll make it happen. Like we've all said, like
I'm more likely to move to Qatar, to be honest, bro. Yeah, I'm good.
Do you get like we have to be honest and say like if all our boys or friends are doing it, like we're probably more likely to make it happen. You know, so yeah, definitely one of the factors we can dive into a bit more now. If you wanna talk about it.
No, like friends, like it's general. Like, I've been meeting a lot of guys from here, like playing football and stuff, and like they were telling me, like finding friends is not easy, etc. And for me, it's the same. Like I've been doing this for 3-4 years, and I still find it hard. Not hard, very hard as such, because I'm not even actively looking anymore. Like I've reached that stage where I have so many other important things to do that I'm not even like actively searching for friends, and that's actually quite important as well. Like you shouldn't really actively look for friends as such. You should go to the places where you come to. For example, for us, it'll be football. So like that's probably for anybody who's listening. Like if you go to a new country and you happen to do your sports and you're good at it and you love it, just do that sport, man. If you're a gym bunny, you go to the gym and you start talking to people. It's the easiest way. Sports is the easiest way to make friends. Literally, if you really want to do. If that's
your interest, like your interest generally, like chasing interest
generally,
to find.
If you like chess, you go to the chess club. You go to the local chess club. You play chess. You don't need to speak the language that much. I mean,
Yeah.
If you like drinking and party, you freaking go and drink and party. You make friends in 2 seconds.
Yeah, we're drinking and partying, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, like friends, like it's probably
It's wait, hold on. I just was like, if we're drinking wine.
Yeah, bro. For
classic
sure.
guy now.
As a big boy. As a big boy.
Catch that, man. Yo.
Drinking that.
Those flavors, bro.
That's smoky. That's smoky.
Yeah.
I'm just drinking hot water because it's so freaking cold.
I was blessed with some good food as well, man. With some nice steak, man. So outside that wine, just blend the whole.
That's when you know these guys need some exposure and like struggles. They need to go to another country. But yeah, like friends, definitely.
Friends are a huge part of it, man. Friends are a huge part. I think
huge part of it.
Yeah, even like when I say America as well, like wherever it is, I know for a fact that I need to have some type of awareness that because even if you don't want to think about friends when you go there, you can at least think, are there interests of mine outside 100%. Of work or whatever it is that I can do there? Because that would help you. If your interests aren't really being like fulfilled there, regardless of whatever, you're probably not going to enjoy it because it will be very one-dimensional for you, and that would be fun.
100%.
So
100%. But that goes back to the interest. Like if you're interested, you go for it. Like for me, like even I had to latch on people, like our friend Alduval. Like if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have gone. Like I went there thinking, okay, just visit, and then one thing led to the other because I asked some questions about, if I could work here in the summer doing whatever. And then he introduced me to his neighbor, and they were very nice. They took me on as an au pair, which is basically looking after the children and speaking English to them. And then that led to another thing, which was working with the dad and doing a year internship in Spain. And, life just progresses from there, like literally.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm not saying that you 100% should just go to a place where nobody knows who you are. But you should definitely try at least like just narrow down to, okay, do I have some distant relative in, I don't know, Morocco or something? And then do it and start researching a little bit, but don't research too much because honestly, I think that really is shit for people as well. Like they start going like, really detailed on all the pros and cons, and then they just end up not doing it. Even for my second time when I went back, I already knew Spanish, etc. I still wasn't fluent, but when I went back, I had to go to the Canary Islands. I've never been to the Canary Islands. I didn't even know it existed really prior to me being able to select it because I never heard of it really. And I knew from where the job was going to be, which was in a very remote village. You can imagine on the mountain, on an island, next to Africa, and it's supposed to be European. I looked at Google Map and I was like, oh shit, like the buses are not even gonna get there. Like, so how do I work? Like there was not even Airbnb. Like it was that remote kind of place. And even for me, like it was like, oh crap, that's hard. But you know what? Like my dad tried to like say, oh, are you sure you want to go? He was telling me that because he was like, oh, you have to buy a car. How do you know? Like you can't even drive. Like I did my test obviously in England, like I was able to drive on the left-hand side. But I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to somehow do it. In 1 month, I managed somehow to get a car, get insurance, started driving very slowly and, stalled a lot on the right-hand side of the road. And now I can drive.
This guy be out here flying down. See, Polo can speed. I was surprised. Honestly, probably like I didn't think he'd like speed like that. But this guy was out here comfortable flying down the motorway.
I don't think I've been in a car with Polo driving.
I was lucky, kind of shook still because
I might just want two seat belts, man.
No. It's true, Felix. You came to visit me in Tenerife, man. In my Ferrari and everything, like
little Megan in Polo's little Megan.
So that, but it worked really well. Like that Megan 20-year-old car, I even managed to sell it in the end after 2 years of using it.
What's the name of the car?
Renault Megan.
Renault Megane.
It's one of these
That car
cars back at
it was a workhorse. It was a workhorse. It got us up that mountain. It didn't stall. It was great. But there were a couple of times where it looked like it was going to die, but you know, it was all good.
Got it. Yeah, we were four of us, big guys in the car, and we still got up somehow. So, but so this is like the story. Like, just freaking do it. Like, so
what were the challenges though? So what are the challenges you faced, like when you moved for the first time, when you moved over to Spain for the first time?
Well, for the first time.
I mean, so what do you count as the first time? Because I mean, I guess your extended stay, like when you were as an au pair, I don't know if you count that your first time.
Yeah, definitely. That was like.
Is that your first time?
Yeah, because that's the first time.
First time actually moving, living on your own, living on your.
Exactly.
Okay.
But then, what you mean? The first time that I lived on my
own. Yeah. Your first time living on your own. Now, what were the challenges you faced going from?
Okay, the biggest one is finding accommodation, probably. Because you're like, shit, I have to share with some stranger and I don't even know how to pick a house here. I don't even know the rules. So my boss recommended me an app called Buddy. Back at the time, it was still a new app where they basically had people like renting rooms out. It was very basic, and you fill in your profile of like how clean you are, what are your interests, that kind of thing. And then you go speak to the house owners. And then they obviously see your profile. Are you this and that? Do you like animes? Do you like? And then you start talking. And that's how I found my first house. But then, that was probably the biggest challenge, because for me, it's like, I made a mistake actually. Like, I was that desperate because I was thinking, oh God, all the Erasmus students are going to come and they're going to get all the spaces and I'm not going to be able to get anything cheap, So I rushed it. And I just rented this really shit room, like really small, didn't even have a desk. Yeah. It was above a bar. So every night, the bar was open until like 2, 3 a.m. The house was quite dirty. Like there's cockroaches almost every night, somehow like somewhere in the house.
I remember the cockroaches actually.
Yeah,
was the one you shared with that older couple, right?
Exactly. Like it was bad. It was bad. And
Folu stayed there now for one night, didn't you?
Which apartment are you talking?
Sure,
Yeah, you guys
came to Madrid.
Yeah, Mike, you shared us.
Oh, okay, Madrid, your Madrid place. Oh, yeah. That bed was for one night, just for half a person, but it wasn't for one person, to be honest.
Imagine. But it was the cheapest place probably that there was to offer in that, central area. So yeah. But yeah, like that's probably like one of the biggest challenges that I faced back at that time. So yeah. So last but not least, let's wrap it up. So Felix, you going off April somewhere? Is that right?
Yeah, tentatively. It might end up being May. It might end up being June. You never know. But I'm aiming because I'm hopefully going to get a new job in March. Hopefully. So I'm going to give myself like a month. See what it's saying. If the job doesn't come through, then I'm going to give myself more time. But hopefully the job comes through in March, and as soon as that job comes through and it's secured and I can definitely work fully remote, like we're pretty much good to go. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I hope everyone's listening.
Yeah. So if I don't do it in April, please don't crucify me, but.
No, I'll just get you back on the podcast.
And be like, Felix, why haven't you moved yet? I'm like, bro, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Well, Folu, I challenge you now. I'm challenging you guys.
I mean, Polo didn't believe me. Felix can attest to this. Polo didn't believe me. I told Polo I was actually going to be moving away this week, and he doesn't think I am actually going to. So maybe I might have to, when I'm at the airport, send him a picture that, I'm
100%, and we'll post it on Instagram along with the podcast.
But yeah, like my plan is actually to like get some foreign experience. I don't know if not foreign experience, but experience abroad. I'm going to move away this week for a while, just see how it goes.
How long would that be?
I can say that, it's going to be at least 3 months. At least 3 months initially. At least 3 months initially.
That's good.
So yeah, I can officially call myself a travel liver. I'm not sure if that's the term that I'm
Yes, that is the term. That is the term. So that's another podcast.
I'm sure that's the term I'm going for.
After you've been there, done that. Exactly. And then we can grill Felix. And then we can grill Felix if in April he still hasn't bought that ticket yet. That one-way ticket.
Don't like I put it in my affirmations for this year, 2021. I'm living abroad.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, that's my affirmations.
Definitely. I'd also like to say that I encourage as well for people that have the opportunity to move to countries where you can stretch your money longer. Because
100%.
At the end of the day, we all kind of know the kind of, like generally we're all playing the like financial game in the sense of trying to make as much money to be financially free or just comfortable wherever we are. So if you can move to a country where the money you're getting paid from your full-time job or a 9 to 5 can stretch longer than in wherever you were before, do that, because you can take advantage of remote working right now. So even if for a few months, just move away, save some money, and have a good time, and see how that goes. Use this as a test, as a what they call those balloons, the test balloons, the ones that go
hot
up.
air balloon.
Yeah, hot air balloons.
There's a hot air balloons, but there's a term, a phrase, or whatever that they use, like test. Yeah, maybe I'm copying Shab. That was what I was referring to. But use it as a test, like for anybody. Like this is a time to, if you can, move to somewhere that's a bit cheaper for you, that you're gonna like enjoy, or you've been curious about, and your money would allow you to live there, move there for a while, and see how it works out. And this is as good a time as any, really.
100%.
To do that.
Any last words, Felix?
Anybody who is interested in travel and is really frustrated with how annoying group travel is right now, make sure you check out joinkahana.com. Come and look at our products. We're making it super easy for you to organize, book, and pay for your group travel holidays with your friends 100%. And stuff. So check that out. This topic is interesting because we can also technically make moving abroad easier with Kahana too. So you never know, that might be one of the services we might get into down the line.
Waiting for that.
So anybody who wants to, like, with their friends, move to Bali and get a nice little place or something like that, buy your flights, you can do that through Kahana too. So check that out. If you're a student entrepreneur and you're looking for a community of founders, to get in touch with, share your stories, share your passion, check out Ideas Lab Global on Twitter and Instagram, and hit me up, and we can make you part of our community. So
great, thank you.
No plug in there.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you, Folu. Thank you for being here and actually talking about this topic, which I believe a lot of people will actually learn a lot from. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. And this is
I'd also like to say, Polo, good luck with the podcast, bro. I think it's a good platform to have good conversations with a range of people and just give people more information as to what, like, living abroad, traveling abroad, experiences abroad, whatever.
Literally, it just came about 2 weeks ago, man. I was talking to you about it. I was like, I'm gonna fucking do this.
And good luck with it, man. Keep it going, bro.
Yeah, 100%. And thank you so much for having us as well.
Thanks, bro. This won't be the last time. So next time
bring
will
us
be
back.
Experience in America, experience in France or Germany, Spain, Portugal, even Qatar. I don't know. Here's for the next episodes to be continued.
Sure.
Thank you, guys. So that was the end of this episode. Hope you learned a lot about the art of travel living. Make sure you give us a follow, subscribe, and likes so that I can make more useful and fun content for you aspiring travel livers. Thanks for listening.